I'm Microsoft teaming with Microsoft Teams. I'm learning and dreaming with Microsoft Teams. The hub and the teamwork of Microsoft 365 in these quarantine times. I'm Microsoft teaming with Microsoft Teams. Yeah, with Microsoft Teams.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Inside Microsoft Teams. This is episode 3, and today we're going to sit down with some of our MVPs and hear and see their favorite tips and tricks. And you're probably saying, what is an MVP? Well, we'll get to that in a minute, but being an MVP was one of the best things that ever happened to me. And it was the hardest thing about becoming a full-time employee at Microsoft was having to no longer be a Microsoft MVP or most valuable professional. So I'll take a quick moment and thank Richard Run as Radio Campbell and Daniel Legan for helping me to find and get into the program and become a community expert. But there is no better person on the planet to talk about MVPs than my co-host today, Laurie Pottmeyer, who is a senior program manager with Microsoft Teams. Welcome, Laurie.
Thanks, Stephen. Thanks for having me. This will be fun.
Absolutely. So take a moment and tell us, what is an MVP?
Well, an MVP is a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional. And MVPs are awarded because of their technical depth with Microsoft technologies, but also their community work. So what they do to extend our messaging and share their knowledge with people out there in the world.
So that's great. So they work in our forums, they speak at events, they do blogs and webcasts and a variety of things, but they are seen as the real world experts behind our products, which I just love that. I think it's absolutely awesome.
They are amazing group of people and have become like family, really.
I agree. They're amazing folks. Also, today is National Coffee Day. So cheers for coffee. I know you have your cool MVP coffee mug.
Yes, because of today's theme.
I appreciate it. So we're going to meet with Starbucks a little bit later and talk about the Starbucks Team app, which is a great way to help you thank, reward, and recognize your coworkers. But we'll get to that later. We have some great videos today. I do want to, first of all, talk about how do you become an MVP, and the place to start is our MVP site. So, Laurie, take a moment and kind of talk about the MVP site and how people can find and connect and learn more about the program before we jump.
Sure. Yeah, so there's a great site. It's at mvp.microsoft.com. And if you go to that website, it shows you some of the things that our current MVPs do as far as activities. And you mentioned some of those things like blogging and podcasts and speaking at events and different ways that they share their knowledge. You could also, in addition to seeing what types of things that they do and how to qualify, you can look for MVPs in your area. And that's really useful if you have a user group or if you just want to network with other professionals who are passionate about Microsoft Teams within your vicinity. You're able to search, and you can do that by technology, by award category, which Office Apps and Services is where Microsoft Teams falls, as well as Office Dev for those people that are doing more development work. And those are experts within your area. They're worldwide. So there's bound to be an MVP or multiple MVPs in your area. And you can search by region and technology. So great opportunity to get to know other people who are experts with Teams.
Awesome. Well, without any further ado, let's jump into our videos. Our first one is from one of our past show guests, Daryl Webster, Daryl as a Service Webster. He's going to talk about tasks and Teams chat and staying in the flow of work. Anything you want to add about Daryl? He's a great guy.
You've got the right person to share tips and tricks. Daryl's hilarious. He's just a good person and always full of knowledge. So this is going to be good.
Awesome. Let's take a look.
In a hybrid work environment, unexpected chats take you away from the task that you're trying to focus on. When a chat isn't related to your task, it causes you to switch focus. It can be difficult to return to your task, forgetting what you've been working on, and when it happens multiple times throughout the day, it can leave you feeling like you haven't achieved much. Stay in the flow of work and use tasks to manage distractions. You can do this right within Teams. For example, imagine you were reviewing a document in Teams. When you're discussing the document with a co-author, tasks can help you keep track of things that you need to do to confirm and research. You could open the Tasks app and switch between your focus and the tasks list, or open To Do. But by switching to another window with a full list of tasks, You could be distracted by other tasks that you see. It's a task list. Every list on the task says, complete me. Turn a chat into a task and save it to the plan within your team. When your task is interrupted by an incoming and unexpected chat, let them know that you're busy and that you'll get back to them. Create a task to remind yourself to respond to your contact. Save it in your tasks folder. Then you can turn your focus back onto the current task and get that completed. While you're there, set your status to do not disturb so that people won't disturb you during this focus time. You can set the duration for a certain period of time and then it will default back to making you available. Also add in a status note to let people know what you're working on. When you've given yourself some uninterrupted time, return to your task lists and keep your promise. Go back to that conversation and try and respond to what was being asked. Tasks are an essential tool for managing your distractions and tethering you to the task that you want to get completed. Being able to create that task from the conversation means you can stay in the flow of work and return back to your focus quickly and calmly.
Great video, Daryl. That was great. And I also want to remind everybody that our MVPs are in chat today answering your questions. So if you want to ask them something, they're all there. So make sure to take advantage of that. Our next MVP is Dan Ray. Dan is an old friend of mine, guy from Chicago, where I grew up. And Dan is just one of the most welcoming, warm people I've ever met. He's awesome. And he is going to go through that age-old question. What's the difference between a Teams live event and a webinar? Laurie, anything to add on that?
That's a big topic right now. So Dan, another great person who is a newer MVP. He is full of tips and tricks on Twitter. Great follow there. And yeah, you mentioned it. He's from Chicago, so they have the best popcorn there, right?
Yep. He's also a great popcorn, great pizza. He's also an ex-Microsoftie himself. So let's take a look at Dan's video.
Hey everybody, welcome to Cooking with Teams. My name's Dan, and let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to Cooking with Teams. I want to spend a moment here to compare and contrast what I could do with a webinar-based approach versus a live event approach. Let's say I have an event that I'm going to host, and it's similar to an Iron Chef show. I'm going to have two contestants, and these contestants are going to make a dish, and then maybe I have folks that are going to comment, so there'll be commentary throughout the event, and I might even have producers for this type of event. On the other hand, maybe I have an event that I'm going to host Cooking with Dan. And participants are going to show, and maybe I would like to tell, some suggestions on how their meal preparation is going. And it's going to be highly interactive with my audience. These might be two of the differences between a live event approach and a webinar approach that you want to keep in mind. Another example would be the audience for a live event is listening by default, and an audience in a webinar has the ability to interact real time with each other as well as me as the host of the webinar. Now let's take a couple looks at differences between these types of events. The Cooking with Dan webinar approach would include a registration link that I can provide to people, and it can be customized to people attending. So I could request particular information, provide them information about the event, and this can scale up to 1,000 participants. So well beyond a meeting, and it contains a registration form to capture details before the event. In the live event approach, I get a link that I can use for being an organizer or a presenter. as well as an attendee link that I can provide to the people attending my event. And by default, my audience is going to be kept in a listen-only mode, similar to being at a show or a presentation, where my presenters and producers would have the ability to interact and present or commentate on the event real time. Well, I'm hosting my webinar. To see a preview of my screen, as well as present my screen to my audience. If I wanted to show everybody a Cooking with Dan webinar versus live event, or have a separate event where I introduce what we are cooking, the ingredients list that's needed, and maybe the step-by-step, I can do so very easily by using my whiteboard along with my video. Finally, my live event approach allows me to have a live event with an audience, allows the audience to hear me, and for me to have live event Q&A that is curated with my audience. So the audience can ask questions, but until somebody publishes an answer either to everybody or individuals, they are in the audience and they are muted by default. So I have the capability still to maybe run my Iron Chef event and to have my audience listen and ask questions. And then the questions they ask can be answered by either the presenters or by producers, depending on how I want to handle the flow. Hey, thanks everybody for joining me and learning a little bit more about live events in Microsoft Teams that scale to thousands of participants with presenters and potentially commentators, as well as producers, and webinars, which allow you to have people register ahead of time and, just like a meeting, interact, chat, share their screens, share chats, do a lot of interaction with you as the host during the webinar.
Great stuff from Dan. Thanks, Dan, for sending that in. Graham Walsh, Teams Admin Center, TAC, remote provisioning. I don't know very much about Graham. I've only chatted with him online, so tell me a little bit about Graham Walsh.
Graham is another wonderful person. He's just a good guy. He works for one of our device partners. He is an expert with voice. So although he's also an expert with other things in Teams, like being an admin, he's a great resource for voice technologies. So calling and devices, he's your guy.
Awesome. Well, let's take a look at Graham's.
Hi, it's Graham Walsh here, and I'm a Microsoft MVP in Office Apps and Services, and I focus primarily on Microsoft Teams devices. So what can we do with Teams Admin Center and our devices? Well, as a user, how do we get these devices signed in to Microsoft Teams wherever they might be? One thing we can do is make use of Teams Admin Center remote provisioning. So if you're in front of the device, you can easily sign in with your credentials, you can tap them in, or you can use sign in with another device. That's great if you're in front of the device and you can see that code. But what happens if you are not by the device or the common area devices in another office and you want to sign them in for those users ready when they come into that office? You know, maybe you just have people unboxing the devices and powering them on remotely. So what do we have in terms of provisioning? Well, over here in the top right hand corner, we have a feature called Actions and Provision Devices. Now, what you will need to do this is actually have a MAC address of the device. So this is the code that is identifying the network address of the device, so the LAN port where you plug it in. Some of these devices do have Wi-Fi as well. So just make sure you're using the primary LAN address when you get the MAC address. Now, if you have a whole building to do and you've got a brand new batch of devices from your manufacturer, you can actually use a CSV file and upload them. So here you can download the template within the Teams Admin Center and then populate that with the data. Most manufacturers or distributors will be able to supply you the list of serial numbers that are on there. Again, if this is for a test device, you can look on the box, look on the back of the unit. So what we need to do in here, click on add a MAC address manually. And we have the ability to enter our MAC address here and a location. So I've just populated my MAC address in there and I've called it hot desk area for simplicity. And all I now need to do is hit apply. So this will now add it to the Teams Admin Center. And as you can see, I've got my MAC address now listed here in the hot desk area. And I can click on this now here. And what I need to do is generate a verification code. So this will be the code I will provide the on-site person's unboxing these, setting these devices up. So I click on this verification code and it'll generate me this 6-digit PIN code. Now this code is valid for 24 hours, so it doesn't need to be done straight away. So what needs to happen next? The person on site obviously needs to tap this into the phone. So it's much easier than giving them a username and password, shall we say. So now let's go ahead and look at the phone, and we'll do this remotely, which is a nice feature I'm able to do here. So I have my phone, and what I can do now is actually just press the top cog icon. So where we see the little icon in the top right corner, there we go. And we press that. And what we do now have is the ability to provision phone. So this is what you want to instruct the on-site engineer to do. And now we use this code. So I type that code in and I hit next. And there we go, we get a thumbs up. The device has provisioned successfully. So what we want to do now is jump to the next tab within Teams Admin Center, and that is waiting for sign-in. So we know it's on the screen. Now just remember, I don't have the luxury of seeing this device, but as you can see, it is signed out. So what we can do is hit sign in. Now it's going to do is actually grab that identity that's on the desk. That alpha character code is there on front of the device for me. So this is going to retrieve it from that device and allow me then to remotely sign in. Now what I mean by that is I can open up, let's say, a private tab and sign it in as Hotdesk 3 or whatever it might be. This makes it really nice and easy for you to remotely sign it in, not give out username and passwords to anyone, and just use your credentials that you know for that phone device to sign it in. So actually, just to give you a quick peek of what's happening on the phone itself so you can see what's happened, is that it's actually showing the user that an administrator is signing the device in. It knows it has taken this code that's current on the device and given you the ability to sign it in remotely now. So what we can do is open up a new tab, and we'll put this in here. We will then copy this address. So you can hit click copy. So what we'll do now is go to the next tab and we will sign in. So it's asking me for the code. So I just populate that code in there and I hit next. Because this is me, this is my test tenant, I want to sign in with me. So very simply, I carry on. If this was another device, you would obviously put in the correct credentials and probably use a private browser so nothing gets mixed up there. And that is it. That is the sign-in. And let's see what the phone is doing. So as you can see, it's signing in now and it's verifying everything. And this will now sign in with my credentials. But there we have it. Signed in. It's already got my picture. And that is how we do remote provisioning. So just before we exit, let's just see what we can now view in the Teams Admin Center. We can see our devices now happily signed in. So there we have the Microsoft Teams Phone remote provisioning available through Teams Admin Center. Thanks very much. Any questions? Feel free to ask.
Great video from Graham. Not stuff that I was fully aware of, so that's great to get that lesson on that. We're going to take a quick break. I had a chance to meet with the great folks at Starbucks earlier this week to talk about the Starbucks Team app. So let's take a look at that. As I said earlier in the show, today is National Coffee Day, and I can think of no better person to talk to than someone from Starbucks. And I have with me today Rachel Heiss. Hi, Rachel. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you? Happy National Coffee Day.
Thank you. I wore my coffee shirt today. So tell us a little bit about your role at Starbucks.
Yeah, I am the senior manager for our Starbucks gift card program, one of which includes the Starbucks app on Microsoft Teams.
Awesome. So as we've been working from everywhere, and that includes Starbucks and coffee shops and all that great stuff, now we're starting to come back together with hybrid work. We're reconnecting with people. And I can think of no better way to reconnect than over a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or whatever somebody likes to drink. It's just a really great way to be a little more casual and just sit down and, just bring back those skills that some of us have lost during the pandemic. So tell us a little bit more about what the app does.
Yeah, well, what's great about the Starbucks app is, to your point, it helps to kind of bridge those connections when we're all still facing, or for the most part, we're facing these challenging times during hybrid work or completely virtual work environments. So what the Starbucks app does on Microsoft Teams is it enables you to connect with your coworkers and your team members just with a few clicks of the button. So whether you want to thank, reward, or recognize your team members, this is a great way of doing that. All you have to do is download the Starbucks app, you sign in with your Starbucks account, select a design, a team member, customize a message, and send it on out.
Awesome. And so I know some of the IT pros are saying, well, I don't know if my end users are going to have access to this. So I did a short video that talks about how to turn on or turn off access to third-party apps and how to turn on the Starbucks app, for example, but restrict access to other ones. So let's take a look at that. Adding the Starbucks app is super easy if you don't have it already. Now, simply go to your managed apps, type in Starbucks, and you'll probably already see it there, and it'll probably already be allowed. But let's say it's not. You can go to your permissions policies, choose the permissions for that organization. I'm going to do org-wide. And I can say allow specific apps and block others. I can say allow apps. I can choose Starbucks, go ahead and add, allow, and then save. And what that does is says all Microsoft apps are allowed, but within my organization, only the Starbucks app is allowed. And then, of course, in your setup policies, you can always go in here, go to your global org-wide, add an app. Once again, choose the Starbucks app, add it, and now by default, anytime anybody creates a brand new team, they're going to have that Starbucks app automatically there. That's how you share coffee with all of your friends and coworkers easily. All right, there you go. It is that easy for you to turn on the Starbucks app and share some goodness, whether it's coffee or tea or hot chocolate, a juice, even a cake pop. Whatever is your pleasure at the Starbucks, you can turn it on, send somebody a gift card, and thank them. So, Rachel, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I would just think of, what your coworkers might be going through in these times and using the Starbucks app as a way to help uplift them. So whether it's to celebrate a project milestone or a work anniversary, a birthday, just because moment, or just to send them a treat, you can do that and celebrate and connect with your team members all through the Starbucks app on Microsoft Teams.
Absolutely. And it's super easy to do. It's like 3 clicks and you're done. So cheers. And thanks for joining us today.
Cheers. Thank you.
I want to thank Starbucks for their help and partnership in putting that together. Our next video, Martina Grom. Martina is one of my favorite people. And it seems no matter where I go in Europe, I'm in Milan, I'm in Amsterdam, there's Martina doing a session. Laurie, tell us a little bit about Martina.
Martina is awesome. And, I think that if we could ever travel again soon, I'm definitely going to be going to Austria and staying in her mother-in-law suite. Sorry, Martina, I'm inviting myself. But she's great, big advocate for women in tech and part of the Women in Teams community. So very excited that we have Martina today.
Yeah, she's awesome. Let's take a look at her video, Restricting Access to Teams.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the MVP Experts Show. My name is Martina Grom. I'm an MVP for Azure and Microsoft 365, and I'm happy to present you today how you can secure your access to Microsoft Teams. Currently, we have 2 scenarios how we can do that. In our example, guest access is allowed for Microsoft Teams. This is the thing where you have a collaboration space where you can work together and so on. But for selected teams, you want to prevent guest access. To solve this, we have two different options. Our first option is you can use PowerShell to prevent the addition of new guests to individual Microsoft Teams. The second option is you can use Microsoft Information Protection, and with that option you can also prevent guest access to specific Microsoft Teams. And now I will show you how you can do that. So our goal is that for SOC team we do not allow guests. So we are running the following PowerShell commandlet. First we select the team. Then we connect to Azure Active Directory PowerShell commandlet. Now we set our group to false. PowerShell is running, and to verify the settings, we run the following commandlet, and here you see we do not allow adding guests to the specific group SOC team. So after we have done that, we can verify if Ellen is still able to add guests to the team. As I mentioned before, we have two teams. In Contoso, we are able to add guests. And we want to add Nestor from vendor Fabricam. So we just move into Contoso, say add member, and now we can add our guest. So we are looking for Nestor, and you see here you are able to add Nestor as a guest. Does it work with the SOC team either? So same situation, we go here, add member, and we are looking for Nestor, and here we see nothing happens. So we are unable to add any more guests to the SOC team. So that was the first option. And we have seen with the PowerShell commandlet, we are able to restrict access to a Microsoft team very easily and only to specific teams. The second option is to prevent guest access based on Microsoft Information Protection labels. So I'm moving to Compliance Center and Open Information Protection. And here you see all our labels and everything we have done here. One of the options here is we are in a strictly confidential team, and we have here Project Olivine. And looking at that, you see this label is available for files, for emails, for sites, and for unified groups. And if we want to edit that label, just quickly moving in here, you see here, this is our project label. It's valid for groups and sites. And we are setting up files and emails, content of files. This is already done, so I'm switching over that. And then we are looking at privacy and external access for users. And here you see in our privacy options is every single team which is created as Project Olivine can only be created as a private team, and no guest access is allowed. So you see here, you can set it up, and then if we have that, we are finishing that. Next, save. How does that look like for Alan? He can create a team. So he goes here to create a team from scratch, and he is selecting strictly confidential, and he says, okay, I want to create a team with Project Olivine. And you see here, only private teams can be created, and he can give our team a new name. So let's call it MVP Experts. Create, and now we are creating the team. And our next step would be that we want to add guests to that team. And you see, same scenario as we had before. We can't add external guests from Fabricam or from any other domain to that team. I hope you enjoyed that short demonstration of two options how you can prevent guests being added to selected teams within Microsoft 365. If you want to find the samples I showed today, go to my GitHub account or connect with me via Twitter. Hope to see you soon.
Martina, thanks for sending that in as always. We love you. Thanks so much for joining us today. And our last video, Nicholas Blank. I was just on this Cloud Architects podcast a few weeks ago. Super engaged in community, really great guy. And he is going to talk about creating any kind of task from Teams chat. Laurie?
Yeah, Nicholas, another great person. He has a great podcast. I saw you're a recent guest. Nicholas has a big background with Azure and Exchange. And so I just love having that kind of different perspective and bringing that into Teams with all the integration we have. So happy to have Nicholas too.
All right, let's take a look at the video.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Blank, and today I'm going to show you how to create just about any kind of a task from an instant message, no matter where you find it inside of Microsoft Teams. I'm going to start off with the activity feed, and this is a message that I posted earlier. You'll notice that I have got options to interact with this message. As I hover over this message, I'm able to click on the menu, move over to more actions, and I can see the options that are available. In this case, I'm able to create tasks, polls, or work items. If I wanted to do so, I could create a task directly in Microsoft To Do. Let's confirm that by moving over to the chat and see that I have the same options with instant messages that were sent to me directly. I can confirm that, and of course, moving over to Teams, I'll move over into a channel and find the document that was sent to me earlier on usability testing, go ahead and confirm that I might want to be able to create a task and confirm that indeed I can. Microsoft Tasks and To Do aren't the only apps or ecosystems available though to create tasks. You may be invested in a third-party ecosystem already. Let's go ahead and move over to the apps view. Filter the apps view by the applications that are available to create tasks. And you'll notice that I've got an option to install Asana. Asana allows me to track my tasks, obviously outside of a Microsoft ecosystem. So I'll go ahead and do that and add that to the list of available apps. Here the Asana bot greets us and we know that it is installed. I'm going to go ahead, assuming that all is well and I have a login to Asana, move over to a chat and click on the menu, more actions, and you'll see that the Asana icon is available for either to create a task or add a message to an existing task. Let's assume though that I'm not invested in Asana or I've installed Asana by mistake. Let's go ahead and click on the menu. We'll uninstall Asana and confirm that we want to uninstall it. Notice that this is a slightly different dialog, but still allows me to go ahead and find Todoist. I'll click on Todoist and click on the Add button. So I've swapped out Asana for Todoist, and I'm going to confirm that the functionality is available by clicking on the chat window, clicking on the menu, choosing more actions, and here I can see that I've swapped out Asana quite successfully for Todoist. What we've gone over is that we've shown how to add just about any kind of task management software to just about anywhere where I'm able to access instant messages within Microsoft Teams and thereby give myself a task in the application or ecosystem of my own preference.
Great stuff from Nicholas. Thanks for sending that in. I do want to apologize to Christian Buckley. Now, Christian's a great guy. I've known him since my OneDrive days, super involved in community, has got some great stuff. And he sent an amazing video on live streaming using OBS and Teams, which is question we've gotten a ton of times, and we've just run out of time to show it today. So I apologize, but what we will do is we'll put it in our extras area, so make sure that you check it out. Laurie, anything you want to add?
Awesome. Christian is amazing, a wealth of knowledge. I love doing or participating in his tweet jams that he does on Twitter on Teams and M365 topics. So really enjoy Christian, and I'm sure his video is going to be spectacular. So check that out.
Awesome. So, Laurie, if folks want to engage with MVPs beyond just going out to the site and looking them up and connecting, are there opportunities and events that are happening where they can meet up and connect and learn more?
Oh my gosh, there's so many events, and everything shut down, as we all know, in the world, and that meant our community events, which was such a bummer because such a big part of that is just being able to meet people in the hallways and get to know one another and see people you haven't seen. It's almost like summer camp every year, when you go to Ignite and different events. So, it's been a hard year, but so many community events have gone virtual, and that's really given people an opportunity to speak in other countries by being at home, but also to attend events virtually that they otherwise maybe wouldn't have traveled to. So it's been a really nice thing in that sense. But we're starting to see hybrid events where if you feel comfortable and if you have one near you and you're okay traveling, you can attend in person, but you can also attend virtually. And the most recent one was Comms First out of the UK that just took place. And so that was the middle of September. And I'm really excited to have Mark Vail, another one of our MVPs, driving that event. And there's some excellent ones coming up worldwide. So here's the list of events that we're tracking right now, some of the bigger ones that we're participating in. And if you want to look for additional community events where you can hear from a number of MVPs and RDs and community experts, by all means, go to aka.ms community events, and you can check them out there.
Awesome. That is great. Laurie, thanks so much for being on the show today. It is always great to have a chance to hang out with you. And something really cool, Laurie and all of our MVPs that were on the show today are going to get a pair of the new Logitech noise-canceling Zone True wireless earbuds that have not even been released yet to the public. There they are. Isn't that cool?
Very exciting.
Yes, they're on the website only, but we're going to make sure everybody gets a pair as soon as they become available, and we will review those in our next show. So make sure you check that out. In addition to reviewing those, we will feature a legend in the motorcycle, snowmobile, ATV, and personal watercraft market, Polaris. So join us for our next episode of Inside Microsoft Teams. Thanks again to Laurie and all of my MVPs. We will see you on our next show. Thanks for joining us. Take care. It's all right. I like the coffee. Coffee is cool. Coffee is life. Coffee is life.